Mary Margaret's morning had improved considerably. Granny, seeing that she was feeling down, had treated her to waffles with syrup for no extra charge. Usually, people took pity on her, assuming she had been tricked into marrying Cameron. They had long since stopped believing she was a gold digger. Her husband was just as careful with his finances after he married her as before, so there was nothing in it for her. That was when the pity started. They didn't know Cameron could be a sweet, kind man when he chose to be, usually only behind closed doors. For once, though, Granny's generosity was just out of kindness. "Chin up," she said, as she gathered Mary Margaret's empty plate and cup up. "Things are looking up around here. We even have visitors." Mary Margaret smiled. She had briefly encountered the newest arrival in town. "Henry's mother stopped by?" she guessed. Granny's eyes widened. Apparently that piece of news hadn't spread through the grapevine. No doubt word would be out in town within hours now. Mary Margaret blushed, knowing she probably should have kept that piece of gossip to herself. The mayor had hauled the unfortunate Miss Emma Swan into her classroom the day before on a hunt for the errant Henry. As abrasive and hostile as Regina was, Emma was cautious and even friendly. Mary Margaret felt no guilt whatsoever about helping her after Regina stormed off. She couldn't put her finger on what it was about Emma, but there was something that felt safe about her. Reliable. Familiar. Gathering up her bags, she headed into the room. She had time to deal with them little, took off the fact that she had tried for a baby, only to be told by doctors that it was unlikely they would even conceive naturally. At least, she always thought, she would have her kids in her class. She had collected up information of other options, of course, IVF, surrogacy, adoption. In the end, Cameron had walked out into the night. He returned hours later, leaning heavily on his cane, barely sober enough to get a word out, and told her that he didn't want to think about it anymore. Something about not being able to lose it all again. And he couldn't, or was in a wonderful way. She knew she could just believe she ran Swan, called out, "Would you?" Her head facing left. "It's good to see a smile." She hardly. Remembering if she knew us. Just a question. "Does the mayor know you're still here?" "Oh, she knows," Emma said with a grimace. "What is her deal? She's not a great people person. How did she get elected?" Mary Margaret offered a helpless smile. "She's been mayor as long as I can remember. No one's ever been brave enough to run against her. She inspires quite a bit of—" She drew a breath, thinking of the mayor's forbidding looks and the silent threat that seemed to hang over her. "Well, fear. I think I only made it worse by giving Henry that book." She sighed. "Now he thinks she's an evil queen." Emma looked at her curiously. "Who does he think you are?" Mary Margaret felt herself blush and laugh self-consciously. "It's silly," she said, remembering when he told her his theory. Emma laughed too. "I just got 5 minutes of silly. Lay it on me." "Snow White." The woman stared at her and she laughed self-consciously. It was ridiculous that he could think her a princess. That much was obvious. "Who does he think you are?" Emma shook her head. "I'm not in the book," she said. She smiled quickly. There was something so familiar about her expression. "I better let you go. Pupils to teach." "Oh, yes," Mary Margaret laughed. "If only you could be paid to socialize." She held out a hand. "It was very nice to meet you properly." Emma smiled, clasped her hand warmly. "You too. See you around?" Mary Margaret nodded. It would be nice to have someone around who didn't look at her and immediately see her husband's shadow looming over her shoulder. As much as she loved Cameron, sometimes it felt she was less Mary Margaret and more Mrs. Gold. "I'd like that," she said. "Thank you."